What I'm going to talk to you about today is really, hopefully it's going to start to build your foundation. I know some of you may be coming in here and you know everything about everything in finance, and others might be coming in here and you're a little intimidated. But I do find that the most important thing that you have to do at the beginning of your career, and actually throughout your career, is make sure that your foundation is in place. Because what happens is people sort of shake their heads and pretend like they know things, and then eventually things get more complex, and then you realize that you really don't know what you're talking about. And what's interesting is that instead of people humbling themselves and saying, well, actually, I don't know what you mean, people just continue to fake their way through things. So I'm just saying this after spending several hours in Washington when they were talking about bond market liquidity. So we're actually going to play a game. And the way that this game works is it's a word game. So it's going to work a little bit like a game show. So I'm going to show you basically the origin of a word, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint, and then I'm going to see if you know what this word is, because these words are used pretty frequently in the world of finance. And what I'm trying to get to is basically build up your understanding around where these words come from and why, and that will help you to build upon the knowledge. So raise your hand if you have a guess, but I'm notorious for pointing out people who are not paying attention. So if you're not paying attention, you will get called on. And if you think you're hiding in the back and I won't see you, I'm very tall, I can see all of you. So we're going to start the game off. This is just a warm-up, so this should be easy, right? And we're actually standing in the place for this first clue. So in 1792, 24 merchants founded the New York Stock Exchange and located on this bustling commercial street. Who's got this? Wall Street. See, this is the warm-up. There we go. First movie was great, second movie not so much. Yes, Wall Street. Again, this is the warm-up, it does get harder. Money that is used to generate income or make an investment. Yeah? Oh, we got a good group here, John. That's right, capital, awesome. Again, this is the warm-up. Gets a little bit harder. Method for getting access to capital. Anybody have a guess? Parents, you're close. Many people blank college with loans. Yes? Yes. So when you're thinking about the term finance, just you can use it in a sentence in a lot of different ways. Somebody threw out parents. Yes, for a lot of you guys, you finance your entire lifestyle through your parents. I hope that stops at some point in time for you. But when you think about finances, how did I get the capital to do this thing? So how did you finance your lunch today? Where'd you get that capital? You financed it through your work. See, we're in the world of finance, which is basically how do people get access to capital to invest in businesses, to grow businesses. So isn't this nice and simple now, right? You work in the world of finance, which is the world of getting money. All right, we're going to go over the basics now. Helps businesses with their financing strategy. This is a division in most of the banks that you might be interviewing with. Anybody want to take a guess? Again, this is helping businesses with their get money strategy. Pitch books, spreadsheets, modeling. Investment banking, that's right. So when you're an investment banker or in the investment banking division, what you're really doing is you're trying to help companies figure out how to finance themselves. So if a company comes to you and they say, hey, there's this other company we're thinking about buying, and you're an investment banker, you're supposed to help them figure out how they can get access to that capital or how they can finance that purchase. Make sense? Ask your questions now. This is the time. All right. Manages assets. Anybody want to take a guess? Asset manager, that's great. Who are they managing assets for? Look, some of this stuff might seem like a trick question, but just paying attention to the words that are being used, oftentimes the definition is right there. So asset managers, they manage assets, and their clients kind of range from individuals like your grandparents all the way to pension funds. But they're also known, like the nomenclature around the street. Have you ever heard the term buy-side? So this is a type of buy-side account. And they're called the buy side because they're buying liquidity or buying access to the market. They may not always be purchasing, they could be selling sometimes, but basically they're buying the convenience or the service provided by this next clue. This group or division provides access to the markets. Anybody want to take a guess? They're basically giving you the ability to get access to risk. And what we call this, at least in the investment world, if somebody says, I'm interviewing for a securities division position. For example, Goldman Sachs has an asset management division, an investment banking division, and a securities division. These are all like 3 separate businesses within Goldman Sachs. In fact, the asset manager isn't allowed to talk to the securities division because there is a potential conflict between the two. Because asset managers are actually customers who are looking to buy and sell securities through the securities division. So this is green because this is a bonus question, right? Bonus round. What is the difference between a broker and a dealer? Yes, I saw you raise your hand and then slick your hair back. I used to do that. It doesn't work anymore. Here's a good way to think about this concept, all right? If you had an apartment to sell, you go to a real estate broker, right? What are they doing for you? Are they selling you their apartment? Yes? Very close. Yes. Did everybody hear that? She says the broker acts as a medium. The broker basically acts as a matchmaker. They don't have the thing to sell to you, and they don't have the ability to buy something from you. They're just brokering a trade between you and someone else, which can be very, very helpful. A dealer is someone who can offer you the option of being the other side of your transaction. So it's almost like if your real estate broker, when you're selling your apartment, said, hey, I'll buy it from you. They would be dealing, which is taking the other side of your trade and therefore having a risk position. Because now they're long your apartment. So used car lots actually kind of work like this. You can go onto a used car lot, you could sell them your college jalopy, and they might buy it from you, right? And people have their blue books and they try to see that they're not getting ripped off. Or you could go into that used car lot and you could buy someone else's car. Because in the dealing side of the business for securities division, it's kind of like a grocery store or a used car lot. There's inventory there that they've built up over time, and they're trying to unwind that inventory by selling it to people walking onto the lot. It's really not that different. So normally the broking businesses, for the most part, are in products that are highly standardized and are frequently traded. Because those products, it's easy to find people on the other side. But products where it's a little bit more specialized, doesn't trade that frequently, the securities division also often provides a dealer function when providing the customer with service. So is it possible for someone to be a broker-dealer? Both of them? Absolutely. That's the way everyone pretty much is. Some people are pure brokers. Nobody's a pure dealer. That's a suicide mission. From the Latin word equitas, meaning equal. Anyone care to make a guess? Yes, exactly. It also means ownership. This is a key differentiating factor. Actually, when we're talking about financing, and the investment banker might propose a solution to someone trying to raise money to buy that company, what they might say is, if you want to raise some money, sell some equity. What are they saying? Sell some ownership in your company. Sell some shares. So you're carving out a piece of this company and you're selling it. So if we were all sitting in here and we started a company, we came up with the greatest sneaker idea, we think it's awesome. We just don't have enough money yet to build the sneakers. We've got to get what do we need to get? Capital, right. So we go to an investment banker, and an investment banker says, all right, I've got an idea for you. You all are owners of this company. Carve out a piece of it and sell it as equity. And what would we get for that? Money to go build the shoes. Great. But now all of our ownership is what? It's diluted. So you're exchanging ownership in your company for access to capital to build that thing, that sneaker that we know is going to, kill him next summer. All right. From the Latin word detum, meaning to owe. Debt. Awesome. Okay. School loans. Sorry. Just a theme here. So debt is another option on how you could finance yourself. So again, we have this sneaker company or this sneaker idea. And, we think this idea is so hot, we don't want to give up any of our ownership, right? So what we might be able to do is sell debt, which is to borrow money. Now, when we sell debt, are we giving up any ownership? No. But what do we have now in exchange for the capital? A thing owed. Whatever money we buy, we've got to pay back with interest. And so in that case, in the equity case, we don't have debt. So it might be for our own, depending on what your perspective, it might be more palatable. But from the debt perspective, we retain more ownership in the company. And we're willing to take on the debt because we know that next summer, everyone's going to be wearing our shoes. So debt often comes in the form of something called an IOU. Do people even use that term anymore? Yes, you had a question. Yes. 007. This is a great group. A bond. A bond is a form of a debt instrument. It's a securitized debt instrument. It's like if you standardized an IOU. An IOU is just basically securitized, or a bond is securitizing the terms around the IOU. How much are you borrowing? And what is my obligation if I borrow it from you? It sets the terms around it. So we're going to get just a little bit into bonds. John said I'm a bond guy. I'd like to think I have a little bit more than just bonds in my arsenal, but I do love the bond market. So for a bond, the borrower is also known as this. It's an issuer. The issuer is the person borrowing. So there's a really cool trick. Here's the trick. The name of the bond group sort of identifies the issuer. So treasury bonds, who's the borrower? U.S. government. Okay. A municipal bond, who's the borrower? Municipality. Great. Awesome. Corporate bond, who's the borrower? Corporation. Great. Now you know where you are in the bond market. Who are the borrowers? Bonus question. Let's see how smart this group is. Emerging market corporate bond. Who's the borrower? A foreign country's company or a corporation in a foreign country. Not just a foreign country, an emerging market, which, there are certain regions of the world that we call emerging markets. But yeah, an emerging market corporate bond is exactly that. What's an emerging market government bond? The government of an emerging market. You got it. You guys are experts. All right, this is the last stage. This is the 3%er club. If you know this stuff, you're in 3% of the population that probably understands these concepts. So from the Latin word credo, meaning I believe, credit, there's an entire division in the securities division called credit. What are they trading? Or what exactly are they managing from a risk standpoint? First of all, let's stop. When we say I believe, what do you believe? Yes? Awesome. And that belief system around you paying me back controls the underlying values of all of the bonds that are out there in the world. Just like you're at a Thanksgiving dinner. You have 3 cousins that are at the dinner with you. Each one of them pulls you aside after sweet potato pie and says, hey, I need to borrow $1,000 from you. Now the first cousin, she lives around the corner from you. You trust her implicitly. You guys grew up together. Would you lend her $1,000 for a year? Yes. The second cousin, you only see on Thanksgiving. You don't really know them that well. The third cousin hasn't seen you since you were so little. And you don't know the next time you're going to see them, they want to borrow $1,000. Do you lend it to them? Do you? Yes, you would do that. If they were able to pay for it and the cost of capital, Fed funds is often referred to this, but interest. It's basically the incentive to get someone to lend you money. So even that person who hasn't seen you since you were so little, if they said, hey, look, if you lend me this $1,000, the next time I see you, I'll give you $5,000. Would you lend them the $1,000? I'd actually I'd be worried about their credit if that's the terms they're willing to accept, but that's just me. So when we're talking about credit and somebody says, I'm in the credit markets, literally what people are trading is the default probability or the possibility that they will or will not get paid back. And that changes based on the health of the company or the underlying issuer throughout the life of the bond. That cousin that lives around the corner from you that you trust so implicitly, she starts dating a very not so good guy in the neighborhood, starts coming home after hours, you don't hang out as much anymore. How comfortable do you feel about that $1,000 you lent her? Not as comfortable. So the value of her bond or her debt is going south. All right, last one. Annual fixed rate of interest on a bond. Use them for discounts at the grocery store. Who wants to give this guess? Coupon rate or just coupon? Why do they call them a coupon? When bonds were physical, if you bought a bond, it had a list of little pieces of paper, and if you wanted to get your interest payment, because there was a fixed payment that was going to come to you for lending the money, that was the cost of the capital, what the issuer had to promise in order for you to lend them the money. You'd have to cut that coupon off, mail it in, and then they'd send you the cash. All right, so this is a good warm-up. We've got some great speakers behind me that I think hopefully with this little bit of foundation, what they're talking about, the more advanced stuff will be a bit easier for you to digest. So I just want to leave you. This is my email address. If any of you have any questions, information, want to know what you should be reading, please reach out to me. Just identify yourself. Say, hey, I met you at the intern event. I'm the one with the cousin that's running around with the guy who rides a motorcycle. I can't get my $1,000 back. But seriously, I love helping people, especially people who are just getting into the business, because I think this business, for a lot of people in the beginning, is really, really complex, and you don't understand it, and people are using a lot of words that may be mystifying. But if you just unlock it, people with your work ethic and with your intelligence, you should be able to shoot right up the league tables. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this.